Welcome to the Techno Fundamental Report for January 30th. A stock market bubble is a significant run-up in stock prices without a corresponding increase in the value of the business they represent. A company's valuation should be determined by its business fundamentals, its profits, growth rate, and similar factors. In a bubble, speculation and euphoria take over. So I remember the bubble in 2000, the dot-com bubble. It was a very difficult situation, and they're very hard to predict. But if you go look at what happened to the NASDAQ back in the dot-com bubble, you can see how dramatic the drop was. I mean, we're seeing stocks like Cisco Systems drop from around 52 all the way down to $6. This was a really, really difficult period and something we need to always be aware of. You don't want to be complacent when you see things like that. Now with the S&P, last year it was very difficult to outperform the market if you were not in the AI stocks or the large tech stocks. But it's hard to say. Is it a bubble? Is it possibly a bubble? It could be, but you can see here that the market cap weighted index is doing fantastic. Now if you look at the equally weighted S&P, where it's not market cap weighted, it's doing okay, but on a relative basis, if you look at it. Now what I'm doing here is I'm comparing the RSP to the S&P. So I'm comparing equally weighted to market cap weighted. And you can see for the last 2 years that these, the average stock has underperformed the S&P because it's all 7 stocks, which was the Magnificent Seven. And also basically the euphoria over AI. So if you look at like NVIDIA right now, this is a recent graph on NVIDIA. You can see here the stock's starting to kind of break down here. Now, if you go back and look at Cisco back here, what caused the dot-com thing to get started, or the drop to get started, was Cisco missed its earnings in the first quarter. And in fact, it was an earnings peak. And so what you have to worry about here is with something like NVIDIA, we're seeing a rollover here, and there is major news out there on NVIDIA, and it's called DeepSeek. And it's a Chinese startup called DeepSeek, and it sparked a major rout this week in all the technology stocks, especially the AI stocks. So is this new competition going to cause a problem for NVIDIA and the US AI group? I don't know, but I was underweight in them because I was nervous about the fact that I was seeing too many people. The old Joe Kennedy story about the shoeshine boy giving him stock tips was what I was experiencing with NVIDIA. I mean, I would go to a restaurant and a waiter would tell me all about NVIDIA, or I'd go to my dentist office and the girl cleaning my teeth was telling me all about NVIDIA. This is the warning that I was worried about. Now, Ray Dalio has got a book out called Principles, and it's a good book. And he talks about the Holy Grail in trading. And he says the Holy Grail in trading is often perceived as the perfect strategy that consistently generates profits without any losses. However, there is no single Holy Grail trading strategy. So what he recommends is some diversification. He usually says no more than 10 to 15 stocks. And you want to have them in non-correlated industries. So it's an interesting book, and I would recommend it. But he's basically saying there is no Holy Grail, but you need to find a good strategy and stick with it. Now, the good news here is that the overall market looks very healthy. I mean, this is the S&P in a very nice long-term uptrend, NASDAQ in a very nice long-term uptrend. But I want to take a minute and look at what we were talking about earlier, which is the possibility of a bubble here. Now here is the semiconductor ETF called the VanEck Semiconductors, the SMH. You can see here that, with this news on DeepSeek and NVIDIA, it really took a major pounding on the semiconductor stocks. Now realize these stocks have been going up for 2 years, and they really were the leadership of the market, but it's also a very cyclical business, which could be meaning risk. So let's look at a couple stocks that are in the group just to get a feel for it. Now here's Arista Networks. You can see the major breakdown there. So this is just nothing more than somewhat of a warning. It's not the news that counts. It's how does a stock react to the news. Like here's Oracle. Downtrend, got a breakout and then came down with everything else. They're real big in AI. Here's Broadcom. You can see the same basic pattern. Here is Credo, which is a company that makes stuff for these data centers. And what I'm hearing about this Chinese version of AI, it will not require data centers, and it's not going to require all that electricity. And also the energy stocks all took a hit on this news as well. So, it's just something to be aware of. I'm not trying to say it's a bubble and I'm predicting a bubble, but I think you should really approach this group with a lot of caution right now. If you have any questions, please let me know.